Welcome, learners. Once again, my name is Mr. Lola, your teacher on this platform. This is Black Slides Online Secondary School. We offer the sciences, namely physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and agriculture. If you are watching our video lessons on our YouTube channel, consider subscribing to the channel and also hit the notification bell so that every time we upload a lesson, you are notified on time. We meet now for a lesson in Form 3 Mathematics on a topic called quadratic expressions. So without wasting your precious time, we are going to look at the following concepts, the following aspects of quadratic expressions. Quadratic expressions would define quadratic equations to start with. So give definition of quadratic expressions. We'll say what a quadratic expression is. And then later we are going to look at types of quadratic expressions. Namely monomials, quadratic monomial expressions. We shall define quadratic monomial expressions using examples. We shall look at a type of quadratic expressions called quadratic binomial expressions. And lastly, we are going to look at a type of quadratic expressions which is called trinomials, or trinomial quadratic expressions. So we are going to look at each of these types of quadratic expressions and examples of each type of quadratic expressions. Let me point out that quadratic expressions are named based on how many terms are connected together by either positive or minus signs. How many terms are connected together by using a plus or minus will determine the type of quadratic expressions. Welcome, learners. So quadratic expressions can be monomials, binomials, or trinomials. So once again, we are going to define quadratic expressions, and then later on we'll look at types of types of quadratic expressions, namely monomials, binomials, and trinomials with examples. Welcome, learners. If you are watching this video lesson once again on our YouTube channel, consider subscribing to it and also hit the notification bell. You can share our videos, you can comment, you can also like our videos. It pleases us here at the Black Slides Online to give you a solid foundation in mathematics, so that when you get to Form 4, you are sure prepared to take your MSc exams with confidence. So it shall give you a solid foundation. That's why we try to explain concepts as they arise, explain fully so that you don't miss anything in the future. We prepare our candidates fully well on this platform. If all you want is to join our main classroom, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section or simply send us a text message to the number that we shared earlier on. We are going to be glad to guide you through the joining process. Welcome, learners. So pay attention as we give definitions and examples of these very important concepts used in quadratic expressions. In the next lesson, we are going to look at factorization, in which we are going to define the factorization and look at a number of examples with a lot of practice for you. Welcome, learners. Welcome, learners, once again. So let's jump to the definition of quadratic expressions. What quadratic expressions are. What do you think quadratic expressions are? Mind you, we are defining a quadratic expression, not equation. So you can as well correct this one. This must be a quadratic expression. What is a quadratic expression? There's going to be a time when we shall define quadratic expression, but equation. For now, we are defining a quadratic expression. What a quadratic expression is. We shall define a quadratic expression in the following manner. A quadratic expression is an expression in mathematics which takes the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where x is a variable and the a, b, and c are real numbers. On condition that a is not equal to 0. Alright, the fear is that if a is 0, then this part here is going to collapse to 0. Because any term multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. So in this case, this whole thing is going to collapse. And therefore, the remaining part will not qualify to be a quadratic expression. So a quadratic expression is an expression in mathematics which takes the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, a, b, and c are numbers. And these numbers can be positive or negative. They can also be fractions. By saying real numbers or calling them real numbers, it means they can be plotted on a real number line. So A, B, C are real numbers. We can have A equal to 1, 2, 3, minus 2, minus 3, minus anything, as long as it's a real number, which is positive or negative. It can be an integer or a fraction. Welcome, learners. And also the condition for this definition is that A must never be equal to 0. Because if A is 0, then this whole thing, the square part, is going to collapse. The highest power in the expression, it must be the highest power to which x is raised must be a 2 for an expression to be called a quadratic expression. Welcome, learners. Alright, so what do you think about these expressions? Which of the following expressions do you think are quadratic expressions based on the definition of quadratic expressions I just gave you? So which of the following expressions are quadratic expressions? Remember, for an expression to be quadratic, it must take on the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, c are real numbers, and the highest power to which x is raised must be a 2. So which of these are quadratic? Let's look at the first one. The first one is x squared plus 2x plus 1. In this case, the highest power is a 2, and a is equal to 1. There's a 1 there, where b is positive 2, and c is positive 1. So as long as the highest power is 2 in the expression, the highest power to which x is raised is 2, then this must qualify as quadratic expression. So the first one is a quadratic expression. Let's look at b. X squared, x cubed plus 3x plus 2. This doesn't look quadratic, as it doesn't conform to the definition of a quadratic expression. Because for an expression to be quadratic, the highest power to which x is raised must be a 2. But look at this. Although we have a equals to 1 here, b equals positive 3, and c equals to positive 2, the highest power of x to which x is raised is 3. It's not 2. Therefore, this isn't quadratic expression. Let's look at this. This is 2x squared plus 1. The highest power is a 2. The power to which x is raised is a 2. And the a is 2. Of course, b is 0. Here b is 0, but c is positive 1. So, for the fact that the highest power is a 2, then this 2 is a quadratic expression. Remember, in a quadratic expression, the highest power to which x is raised must be a 2. This one is not quadratic because the highest power of the unknown is 3. What about this one here? X squared minus 1 The highest power of the unknown, in this case the highest power of x, is a 2. Therefore, it's quadratic. But if you look at this one here, this is the x plus xy plus 2. The highest power here is a 1. This x is to the power 1. So in this case, it means that this is not quadratic. For an expression to qualify as quadratic function or expression, the highest power must be a 2. So look at this. Here the highest power is a 4. That means this one is not quadratic. So in other words, from this list, we have 3 expressions that qualify as quadratic expressions. So let's analyze each one of them. We mentioned that a quadratic expression must conform to the general expression ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's the general expression of a quadratic expression. So let's analyze each of these expressions and see what a, b, c are. Remember that a, b, c are supposed to be real numbers, and the a must never be equal to 0. So let's look at the first one. In the first one, a is a 1. There's a 1 over here. So a is equal to 1. B is positive 2. And C is positive 1. So this expression, therefore, has satisfied all the conditions for it to be quadratic. First condition is that it must be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, for which a is 1 and b is positive 2, while c is positive 1. And also the highest power to which x is raised is a 2. Therefore, this is a fully quadratic. But if you look at b, this one, the highest power is a 3. But a quadratic expression must have the highest power to which x is raised must be 2. So this is already disqualified as the quadratic. So this is not quadratic function. Otherwise, it belongs to the type of expressions which are called cubic, because it is to the power 3. So it's a cubic function. Let's look at this one. So here, a is equal to 2. Before that, it's important that we look at this expression. If it conforms to the general expressions, you'd be wondering to say, what's the value of B here and what's the value of C? All right. If you look at this expression very closely, you find that we don't have the middle term here, the bx part. We only have the a and the c. So this expression is the same as 2x squared plus 0x plus 0x plus 1. It's the same. For which a is 2, this one here, and b is 0, because 0 times x is 0. It's like this whole thing here will collapse to 0. And then plus 1. So this expression is just the same as the one given. So from this we can get the values of a, b, and c. So a is equal to 2, while b is 0. And c is positive 1. Alright. So again, C, this one is satisfying all the conditions for it to be quadratic. So 2x squared plus 1 is also quadratic, for which a is equal to 2, b is equal to 0, and the c is positive 1. Let's look at this one here. We already said it's quadratic, but is it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c? Let's see that. So this expression, notice that can be written as x squared plus 0x minus 1. This expression is just as good as this. So 0x means 0, so this will collapse to 0, and we end up having x squared minus 1 as given here. So the values of a, b, and c therefore are going to be a is going to be equal to 1, b is equal to 0, and c is equal to minus 1. Take note that when we are quoting the values of a, b, and c, we are including the signs also. Like here we said c is positive 1, so we took the whole of it, positive 1, not just 1. This is very important. Here take note, we said it's positive 1, here is b is positive 2. Here a is positive 1 as well, because there are times when you may have a negative sign there. This one, there's no need for us to talk about it because it's already not quadratic. This one too is not quadratic. Why are we saying these two are not quadratic? Because the highest power of the unknown is 1 there. This is x to the power 1. And the highest power of the unknown here is 4. Therefore, these two are not quadratic expressions. Welcome, learners. In case you have questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, right? And also send us a text message to the number that we shared earlier on. Welcome, learners. Having defined a quadratic expression, now it's time for us to look at the different types of quadratic expressions. Types of quadratic expressions. Alright, types of quadratic expressions are named based on the number of terms that are connected together by the minus or plus signs. Welcome, learners. So the first type of quadratic expressions I would like us to discuss is what is called quadratic monomial expression. Monomial. What do you understand by the term monomial or mono? Everywhere you see the word mono, it means one. Mono means one. And this last part here means term. Therefore, a quadratic monomial expression is an expression in algebra which contains one term. So a quadratic monomial expression is one that contains only one term. So a quadratic monomial expression has one term only. Has one term only. That's a quadratic monomial expression. Mono means one. So examples of quadratic monomials include x squared. This is a monomial, just one, standing alone. X squared. That's a monomial. Another one is 3x squared. Standing alone, another one is half x squared. And many other examples. Each of these is not connected to another either by positive or negative sign. No, they're standalone terms. So we have x squared, 3x squared, half x squared. What is important, however, to note is that each one of them is a complete quadratic expression, as long as the highest power is 2. If you take this one here, is it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c? The answer is yes. If you look at this, x squared is the same as x squared, let's say 1x squared plus bx plus 0. So in this case, a is equal to 1, a is 1, b is 0, b is 0, and c is also 0. Alright, so if you multiply 1 by x squared is x squared. 0 multiplied by x is 0. 2 plus 0 is 0. So you end up having just x squared. Therefore, this is a complete quadratic expression. And so are the rest of them. This one here, 3x squared, is a complete quadratic expression. It has one term. 3x squared is considered to be one term. It's monomial. Another one is half x squared. It's also another monomial. Is considered to be one term, this one. So I want you to think about 5 more examples of quadratic monomials. Think of just any. Remembering all the time that the highest power of the unknown must be a 2 for it to be quadratic. Welcome, learners. The second type of quadratic expressions is quadratic binomial expressions. Every time you see the prefix bi attached to something else, means two things are involved there. So bi means two. Bi, that's two. Therefore, a binomial expression is an expression in algebra which contains two terms. Bi means two. Bi means two. So nomial bi means two terms. Two terms. Right? So a quadratic monomial expression has two terms in it. These are joined together by either plus or minus sign. Welcome, learners. Two terms connected together by plus or minus sign. Binomial. I beg your pardon. This one is supposed to be binomial, not monomial again. Kind of confusing because we are talking about binomial expressions. So a binomial expression is one that contains two terms connected together. Welcome, learners. Binomial means two terms. So a quadratic binomial expression has two terms in it. These are joined by either plus or minus sign. Examples of quadratic binomials these are supposed to be binomials. Quadratic binomials include x squared plus 2x. So x squared plus 2x is a binomial. Why are we saying that? Because it has two terms. 1, 2. That's one. a binomial quadratic expression, a quadratic binomial expression, as long as the highest power is 2. It's a quadratic expression having two terms. Another one is 2x squared plus 3. You count these as two terms. You have one term plus this one here. These are two terms combined together by plus positive sign. So these are examples of binomial expressions. Another one is 5x squared plus 7. All these are examples of binomial expressions. Alright, so think about 5 more examples of quadratic binomial expressions. Share with me. You can share with me in the comment section below there. Or if you're learning on our main platform, you can just write somewhere, take a picture of your answers or solutions and share with me the number that is shared here already. Welcome, learners. Remember, our goal here on Black Slides is to give a solid foundation in mathematics and the other sciences. We believe that if we give you a solid foundation, you will not struggle in Form 4. You're bound to do well when you get there. A solid foundation is needed in mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and the other subjects too. Welcome, learners. The third type of quadratic expressions is called trinomials. Tri means 3, or some pronounce this as trinomial or trinomial. Tri is 3 of them, 3 terms. So a trinomial is an algebraic expression with 3 terms. Tri means 3, 3 terms. Therefore, a quadratic means 3. A quadratic trinomial has 3 terms in it. These are connected together by a plus or minus sign. So the following expressions are examples, trinomials. Alright, so each one of these is a trinomial. If you look at this, we have 1, 2, 3. It's a trinomial. The highest power is a 2. X squared plus 11x plus 10. It's also another example of trinomial. Trinomial, there are 3 terms. In each of these, there are 3 terms. Therefore, all these qualify as quadratic trinomial expressions. Welcome, learners. F squared plus 7f plus 6 is also another trinomial. All these are trinomials, quadratic trinomials. Why? Because there are 3 terms in each case. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So in this topic, quadratic functions and equations, quadratic expressions and equations, we are going to dwell so much on quadratic trinomials or expressions having 3 terms. That's where we are going to spend most of our time, factorizing or solving equations involving trinomials. Welcome, learners. My name is Mr. Poch Lola, your teacher. Having gone this far, I would like to leave you with some work to do based on our discussion. Alright? I'd I'd like you to say whether each of the following expressions is quadratic expression or not. So we have some expressions here for you to figure out whether they are quadratic or not. How do you tell that an expression is quadratic? If it is in form of ax squared plus bx plus c, and the highest power of the unknown is a 2. So each of these is an expression. Can you tell which ones are quadratic? Alright, so share your answers with me. If you think this is quadratic, just copy it and say quadratic at the end of it. Copy it, say whether it's quadratic or not. If it's not quadratic, just say it's not quadratic. So how do you tell that a function is quadratic, an expression is quadratic? If it satisfies the definition of a quadratic expression, ax squared plus bx plus c, and the highest power of the unknown is 2. So welcome, learners. So write this on paper and share with me so that I can have a look at your thoughts, what you think. In each quadratic expression below, state the values of a, b, and c. So you already told that the expressions that are coming here are quadratic expressions. So there's no need to break your head. Already you know that this is a quadratic, but you just have to state a, b, and c. So each one of these is a quadratic expression. Can you tell what the values of a, b, c are? Given that these are unknowns, d, you have a d there. Here we have an x as an unknown, and here we have a c as an unknown, like that. And our unknown here is f. Alright, so I just have to to tell the value of a, b, and c in each case. I will do the first one for you. So here, a is, what do you think a is here? So a here is 1. You can say positive 1, it's up to you. B is positive 7. Positive 7. And C is positive 10. So what do you think A, B, and C are going to be in the rest of the expressions? All right. Lastly, say whether each of the following quadratic expressions is monomial, binomial, or trinomial. Remember, we've looked at types of quadratic expressions. So can you tell which is which from the following list? So x squared plus 4x minus 9. Tell whether this is monomial, binomial, or trinomials expression. Minus 5x squared. Tell us what you think. Is this monomial, trinomial, or binomial expression? So just copy each one of them and at the end say the type of quadratic expression. What do you think this is? Is this monomial, trinomial, or binomial? X squared plus 7. What do you think this is? What kind of expression is this one? Quadratic expression. Is it monomial, binomial, or trinomial? Lastly, 15x squared minus 2x minus 7. Thank you very much. We meet again next time. When we are meeting for a mathematics lesson, it means we are going to look at a component of quadratic expressions, which is called factorization. So we are going to factorize quadratic expressions. For the time being,